Morning, everybody. It's Sunday. It's early. I think this actually aired yesterday during BlizzCon, but I've been too busy to watch BlizzCon live. So they uploaded the panel for the War Within. Um, I'm gonna watch this morning, and we're gonna do. This will end up. This will probably get turned into a reaction video after the fact. Um, but I've got a video coming out tomorrow, I think, on Monday morning. So I don't know when this will air particularly. I'm watching this on Sunday. But the video on Monday is talking about, the World Soul Saga. Could it actually bring me back to Warcraft? It sounds intriguing. I like the idea of the Titan storyline. I love the idea of playing an Earthen. I think that'd be a lot of fun. I traditionally, World of Warcraft has never been a main game for me. I've never, it's never been my main MMORPG. Like, I've played it, I think, a total of about 10 months out of the entire time it's been live, and that's been across essentially three stints. When Classic first launched, when Classic Lich King launched, and then I did a stint in retail around Dragonflight. Those are the three times that I have sat down and played for around 3 or 4 months, um, of serious time. But it intrigues me what they announced with the World Soul Saga, and this is the panel on the first of the three expansions, which is all about the War Within. So I wanted to actually watch through this panel so I could get a better idea of what exactly is coming in this expansion. I don't know. I talked about this in the video that's coming out on the World Soul Saga and everything else. I don't think I'm in a point where I want to, run out there and play Warcraft right now. I'm way too busy with other things. But I would assume that this is going to be coming late next year. If you go on their cadence, usually it's around October, sometimes September, October is when they usually do expansions. Um, so if next year is going to be like next fall is going to be when this drops, whenever they announce the actual launch date, I will probably subscribe. I'll probably pre-order and start my subscription again, like maybe probably 60 days before, like 2 months before the expansion drops. Maybe, maybe 1 month, but I'll drop like a 3 month or maybe even a 6 month subscription around when that happens, um, and play it. But I'll be playing it purely from the point of a single player RPG. If there's people that want to play alongside me, that'll be cool. But we'll wait and see how all this plays out. But I do want to learn more. So um, I realize we're not watching this live. This aired yesterday. I was busy yesterday, so we're gonna watch the panel here on YouTube, and then this will come out as its own reaction video later on. So if you want to participate, hang out, chat, all those good things, feel free. We're multi-streaming on YouTube and Twitch this morning. So without further ado, let's dive into this.
Our first presentation, World of Warcraft, What's Next?
If you've already seen this because you were watching it live, you're good.
4 years have passed since the mortal races gathered together in Anaheim, California. And now, the drums of BlizzCon thunder once again. Let me hear the thunder! Yes! Ah! Oh, thank you. Thank you for being here with us today. Hello, everyone, and welcome to the World of Warcraft What's Next panel. My name is Taryn Gregory, and as you may have heard, thank you. As you may have heard from Chris during the opening ceremonies, we are at the dawn of a new era of Warcraft. The World Soul Saga. A story that will play out over the next 3 expansions and will take us on an adventure in World of Warcraft like we've never experienced before.
This is what actually
This
has me
saga
excited.
kicks off with
Like the
the
idea
War
of a
Within.
3-story
In this
expansion.
first chapter, our heroes will be called on an expedition to the subterranean depths of
That
Azeroth,
sword in the planet.
revealing a new world full of mystery, wonder,
And it's underground.
and
I love
darkness.
underground
There
stuff.
we will confront the shadows below and face new challenges on the battlefield as well as in ourselves. So what is next? During this section, I'll share an overview of the story of the War Within, and then next you'll hear from Maria Hamilton, who will speak to zones and cultures, and then wrapping up with Morgan Day, who will talk about dungeons, the raid, and our new systems. Let's dig in. In our cinematic reveal, Did you guys enjoy the cinematic?
I didn't. It wasn't a big deal to me. I don't really care about it.
Big shout out to the
It's okay.
cinematic team for their work on that. It's just
Yes, it did look
incredible work.
amazing, but
We witnessed as Thrall found Anduin Wrynn, who has been wandering alone for the last few years, grappling and lost in his own thoughts and dealing with the experience that he's been through, as many of you may have remembered. Throughout this and our features trailer, we learned two very important developments, starting with these visions. Thrall spoke of a vision calling out from the heart of the world, like a voice from a dream. This radiant song will compel our heroes to investigate its origins, and while at the same time, a darkness has been gathering. Even as the heroes adventured on the Dragon Isles, and in the War Within, the mysterious harbinger that Iridikron spoke of will reveal themselves. Xalatath has returned.
as someone who's not intimate with lore, that name
Freed
doesn't
long ago
really
from
mean
the
a
black
lot to
blade
me.
that once bound her, she is now the harbinger of a new era of the Void's dark machinations.
Okay.
Her message is clear. The Black Empire has fallen. The old gods are dead. And their ancient blood runs deep within the cracks of the world. We, the heroes of Azeroth, destroyed them. The forces of the Horde and the Alliance have proven time and again they are among the most powerful armies that have ever stood. The Harbinger has watched this. She is patient. And while the Black Empire failed, Xalatath now seeks to set in motion the rise of a new dark.
Okay, so the Black Emperor's fallen. See, this I'm not intimately familiar with all of the Warcraft lore because I haven't played a ton of Warcraft. What's up, Elden Warden? So Xalatath is known as the Harbinger of the Void, survivor of the Black Empire. The thing that got me interested was when Chris Metzen did the announcement, and said, "We're finally going to find out what the Titans wanted. The Titans are coming back. That's the third expansion in this trilogy. And the idea of the Titans and finally finding out about the big sword and everything else, like the few times I've played Warcraft over the years, the one thing that always stood out to me was I always want to know more about the Earthen, the history of the dwarves, and the Titans, because they're always this mysterious. They were here. They left these ruins, these things on the side of the, in the face of the planet. Like, what are they all for? And so that's what really has me interested about this World Soul arc is the idea of the Titan storyline. This I don't know anything about. Like I don't know. Like they've mentioned the Void. What does that mean? The Black Empire. I don't know what that means. Again, I'm sort of a Warcraft newbie, even though I have played. Like I said, I've played about 10 months total out of the entirety of the time that it's been out for almost 20 years now. So I'm way behind in a lot of this stuff. So hopefully, the way they present everything in this upcoming trilogy, and especially with this first expansion, is going to be done in such a way that folks like me who aren't intimate with the lore can still get up to speed with everything.
Dark legacy, one that knows our true strength and will seek to test it against a new
What's up, Boozler?
threat of terrible power, the Nerubians of Ashkahet.
Okay.
Xalatath has conscripted the Nerubian queen Anserek, having offered her people a new future, one in which they will rise from their isolation as a mighty kingdom once again. And here in this sprawling city of Ashkahet, we will not find the undead soldiers of the Lich King that we faced before, but instead a new, mighty stronghold of the Nerubians as they once were, deadly survivors of the mythic wars that have played out time and again over thousands of years. In return for their loyalty, Xalatath has granted the Nerubians the means of a dark evolution, one that will turn the Nerubians into a new kind of ferocious and terrifying soldier that we will clash against time and again in the War Within. Now let's talk about who we'll be adventuring with.
Oh, I'm loving
Audio
Rogue
the
Trader
PR.
Beta. It's going to be my main game for December, Warden.
Several of
Starting
Azeroth's
December
greatest
7th,
heroes
that's
will
probably all
rise
I'm going to
from
do
Call
for the
of
whole
Radiant
month
Song,
of
and
December.
many will be faced with their own unique challenges. Anduin, having survived his ordeal with domination. Yes, look at the art. Oh, incredible artwork.
Their art
Anduin will be
department is
grappling
amazing.
with his relationship to the holy light that he no longer feels worthy of, while Thrall is seeking a connection to these visions, spreading across the world and working to find his new place in the Horde, while Magni Bronzebeard, long the Speaker of Azeroth, will confront the heavy weight of that responsibility once and for all. Champion! The Wounds Champion! Yes!
This is the kind of stuff that I have no
But
frame
that
of
brings
reference
us
to.
I know you saw this in the features trailer, Alaria Windrunner. Alaria's journey will be central to the events of the themes of the War Within, as she, a Void Hunter, will use all of her prowess to hunt down the Harbinger while being torn between her own nature and the maddening call of the Void to which she is attuned. Along the adventure, she will have a unique rivalry with Xal'atath, whose twists and turns will come to define the nature of this new conflict. Of course, we'll see many more familiar faces on our journey and meet a host of new and interesting characters along the way that Maria is going to tell you more about in just a moment. But finally, this saga is only just beginning. Conceived to be...
The sword, I do.
Yes!
This is always something that, you know, everybody wants to know more about, so we're
Conceived
finally going to
to
hear
be
more
an
about the
epic
sword.
worthy of the first 20 years of World of Warcraft, the World Soul Saga aims to redefine the storytelling in our expansion set and strike boldly at the core themes that define Warcraft. The might of heroes, the responsibility of that power, the pursuit of justice. Gotta do my best Mets.
Dark
there.
Elder are your
Justice!
favorite, says Warden. Can't wait to see what choice you make in their home
And the
city.
importance of
Well, I'm
finding
doing
common
one
ground, as well as
Let's Play
ourselves
episode per week right
amidst
now,
adversity.
and then a bunch of
Up
guides.
next, may I introduce Maria Hamilton.
So I'm not going
who will
whole
be
hog
sharing more about
on
our zones and
Rogue
cultures
Trader
in
just
the War
yet.
Within. Thank you so much.
But as soon as it drops on December 7th, that's the main game for me for the month of December. I'll be doing it just like I did Baldur's Gate 3. Lots of guides and lots of streams and...
Hello, BlizzCon. Wow, I am so excited to be here and delighted to represent our team and tell you about the places that we will explore and the cultures we will encounter in the War Within. I can't really see all of you out there. I know there's a lot of you, though, because I can hear you. And I hope to hear lots of oohs and ahs when you see some of this cool art I've got to show you. So let's get started. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yep. Thank you. Okay, as Taryn mentioned earlier, we'll be called by the Radiant Song, dreamlike visions that come from the heart of the Azeroth. This summons is going to lead us to the subcontinent of Khaz-Algar.
Awesome. I love underground stuff in any game I play.
It's only through recent explorations in Uldaman that we've discovered a Watcher report concerning a contingent of Earthen that was sent to this place long, long ago.
The idea of playing an Earthen is one of the reasons I'm really interested in this.
We don't really know, but we can probably speculate. So first, let's talk about the Earthen.
No, I won't ever play any Elder Scrolls.
There you go. There you go.
Not on stream anyway. I've done it a few
All right,
times, but it's not.
We have met Titan Forged Earthen before, of course.
I love the Elder
Olduar
Scrolls
and
games,
other
but not. I
places.
don't like ESO
But
enough to
this
stream
society
it.
of Earthen has been isolated within
So the Earthen, this is
Khaz-Algar
what I'm
for
really interested in here. So hang
really
on, let me
long-
pause this video. We've got the Unbound, the Oathsworn, and the Machine Speakers. Okay.
time and have developed their own manners and customs. Now, visually, these Earthen are a bit larger in stature, and they're noticeably blinged out. They've got gems all over them, bedazzled, blinged out, you know, that kind of thing, right? But philosophically, they are guided by the Edicts of the Titans, a set of codified orders, duties, and expectations that provide instructions for the core functions of their society. You know, Titans, order, all that, right? But the Titans have been absent for eons, and the Earthen are no longer united in their adherence to these edicts. They now exist as three groups that are estranged from each other. The Oathsworn, as their name suggests, still uphold the edicts faithfully and believe everyone else is doing it wrong. Their charge is guarding the Core Way, a Titan passageway that leads right to the core of Azeroth. They're primarily the city dwellers. They live conveniently near the object of their responsibility, that Core Way. Now, the Unbound, in contrast, have abandoned the edicts, and they are considered scandalously rebellious by the Oathsworn. Their original responsibility was providing the materials to keep the Titan installation supplied. And they're primarily rural. They're living in and around the quarries and the mines where natural resources can be required. They rarely interact with the city dwellers. They feel neglected and ignored because they have a different opinion on how they should live. Now, the machine speakers have strayed from the edicts in practice, but not with respect to their overall obligation to keep the Titan works functioning. They've had extremely limited contact with the surface dwellers, and they express no little disdain for those who just don't understand the great machines.
I think out of all three of these, I would go with the Unbound. If we're going to be given a choice of which faction we'd to align with, I'd go with the Unbound. That sounds the most fun. Eldon says, "I'd love to see you jump in Skyrim more." I doubt it. I'll probably the next Bethesda game I play now that I'm done with Starfield will probably be Elder Scrolls 6 whenever that happens. I've played Skyrim a bunch. I've played Oblivion a bunch, all in the days before I started doing content creation and streaming. I have no desire to go back to those. They're good games, but there's a reason I'm not playing EverQuest anymore or any of the P99 or whatever that new progression server is that everyone's on about, or any more of the EQ2 stuff. Like I'm done. I'm moving on. I'm only into there's so many new games coming out that are just amazing games. All I really care about now is what's next. Like what are the next things I can play? The evolution of gaming. Avalon says I'm just watching this to spoil the wife on content so she won't want to return again.
Their
Good
homes
luck.
are built around vast industrial projects under the surface that allow them to perform their functions in accordance with edicts, more or less. These different perspectives among the Earthen and their variable adherence to the Titan's edicts has weakened the society as originally structured. And that's not good, of course, but a much more serious problem is their steadily dwindling numbers. For reasons that I'm not going to get into here and now, New Earthen can't exist until we help them out by doing some things and unite the Earthen society once more.
Oh, so we're gonna unite the
Happily,
three tribes?
as a
That's
result of
cool.
our actions, the Earthen will eventually be unlocked as an allied race.
Yeah, this is what I'm kind of
Yeah.
interested in.
It's
I
sweet,
will
don't they? Yeah.
I will definitely play an Earthen for
These
sure.
player Earthen
Just
These player
dude,
Earthen will replenish the culture's
Oxlorn. I
dwindling
know, man.
numbers and may join either the Horde or the Alliance. Yeah. It is, of course, player's choice which side you wish to ally with.
Oh, it'll be
But
Alliance
as you can see
for
from
me.
a small
I don't do
sampling of
Horde.
combinations, there's some fantastic variations and customizations coming for the Earthen models, including different gem incrustations,
Which is all cool. This
beards
sounds
for all
really
body
awesome.
types, rocky skin patterns, tones, and more. Now that golden mohawk with the braids and the fringe beard, that's quite the look.
Yeah.
But I really like the beardless guy with the bushy blonde eyebrows. He looks so cool. He's just kind of like, yep, what do you want me to do? So
Ready to
anyway,
work.
All right, moving on. Another cool culture that players will encounter in the War Within is the Arathi. Yeah.
Excuse me.
Yeah, and you probably have questions, right? So these are descendants of the original Arathorian Empire, and they've arrived relatively recently. And through
See, those names mean nothing to me because I'm not huge into Warcraft. It's always funny when you hear people in the crowd like shouting, "Yeah!" when they name drop something, and I'm just like, okay.
some somewhat mysterious circumstances, and they find themselves trapped here within Khazalgar. Mysterious mostly because I can't say anything more about it just yet because of spoilers, but it's not like spooky mysterious, it's the other kind. As a people, the Arathi are worshippers and wielders of holy fire. They are dedicated to bringing hope and light to the darkness. They're tough, resilient people, with every member of the society being an able combatant. Some few are further blessed with paladin-like abilities through their devotion to the light. Even their airships are powered by sacred flame. The extent to which they're comfortable in battle is probably a good thing because they have established a home away from home in an enormous cavern bordered by an endless underground sea from which terrifying creatures emerge to rampage and create havoc. Not my idea of a cool place to hang out, but they're really, really tough. These watery monstrosities, though, are nothing compared to the threat from below. A constant swarm of Nerubians has been held back so far from invading the Arathi lands. The assault is unrelenting, the threat is dire, and the Arathi can't hold much longer. These bastions of light against the darkness are far from home and limited in number. Sure would be terrible if there was also division within the Arathi ranks. Just saying. That would be pretty rough, what with them being so outnumbered. We could probably help them. All right, speaking of the Nerubians in the War Within, we'll explore their last kingdom deep within Khazalgar. These ancient survivors of the Black Empire who rejected their former masters have developed their own culture here in the deep darkness. As Taryn mentioned earlier, Xal'atath has made a bargain with the Nerubian queen Ansarek, who seeks a new future and renewed glory for her people. The Nerubians are extremely capable and devious adversaries who have been honing their skills with their constant assault on the Arathi. But domination hasn't come fast enough for the Queen's taste, as the Arathi has managed to hold against this onslaught. So this deal with the Harbinger has included some assistance for her troops. Through some dark alchemical process, Xal'atath has provided the knowledge required to evolve chosen Nerubians into paragons of their race, enhancing their viciousness.
So, boss
and
mobs.
Queen Ansarek has embraced these modifications with enthusiasm and eagerly offered her army to achieve the Harbinger's schemes. It appears to be a win-win situation. But not all Nerubians share their sovereign's enthusiasm for change and her embrace of Xal'atath. Shadowy figures with
Rogue
far
Trader,
too many
Star Wars
limbs maneuver
Outlaws,
against the
Avowed,
Harbinger's plans
Fable.
in opposition to the Queen's desire.
Those ones for sure.
As you might expect, any foray into this Nerubian kingdom introduces us to a variety of citizens, including some forms we've never encountered
Those are probably
before.
the four. I'd have
Here's
to.
a layout of some of the Nerubian
Those are the
models
ones that
are
I'm really looking
completed
forward to
and
the
also
most,
some that are
Avalon.
in progress,
Especially Star Wars
as well as
Outlaws.
scale
Right now,
reference
Star Wars
for
Outlaws has
goblins
my
and
sort of
humans
game
to
of
just get
the
a sense
year
of size.
for
In
next
addition
year
to the Nerubian
spot, unless I see
citizens,
something
there are
better.
also
Although
domesticated
Rogue Trader
insects who
technically
serve
is
the
December,
kingdom
but I'll
as
be playing that
beast-of-burden
over the
pet
holidays
pets.
into January, so
The
I
team is hard at work
consider it
building
a
out
next
the
year
full range of
game.
carapaces, carapae, I don't know, whichever, skittering legs, grabby arms, piercing spiky bits, and creepy eyes for you to enjoy, I guess. All right, let's talk about our zones. The surface of Khazalgar is our first zone, called the Isle of Dorn. This is the home of the earthen surface dwellers, as well as other native species of creatures. The fertile soil, flowering plant life, and generous waterways provide nourishment for animals in this untouched paradise. An important facet of earthen society is Cinderbrew mead.
The beta's
This
been pretty fun
volatile
so far,
substance
Pablo.
is manufactured from molten honey, produced by enormous fiery bees. Their home groves are a remarkable sight, as the hearts of the trees themselves glow with lava-like fluid. Harvesting is always an exciting time, as the ferocious creatures are understandably protective of their hives. Now, the roosts at Storm Watch.
If I had to pick two that
are
I'm most
wreathed
excited
with
for
lightning
next
and
year, though,
fierce
it's going to be
winds.
Star Wars
These wild
Outlaws and
elemental
Avowed
rooks may choose to
from
serve a member
Obsidian.
of the Oathsworn, who, if so blessed, becomes a Storm Rider, one of the guardian warriors of the earthen people. The Unbound deal with hostile creatures from time to time, but for their most part, the existence is relatively peaceful, fairly sort of peaceful. Their comfortable homes are often situated near the places where they once labored as adherents to the edicts. Those sites are now in disrepair, and in some cases, the lair of other creatures. Of course, the Isle of Dorn boasts a great walled city where the Oathsworn live and serve the edicts of the Titans. The city of Dornagal is the location of many important
I'm
civic
also
buildings,
tentatively
markets,
interested in
traders,
Dune
and crafters.
Awakening
And it's here
because I love the
that
Dune
a traveler
IP,
will find the
but I
expected
hate
amenities of a
PvP and I
capital
hate
city,
survival
as
games.
well as the Titan
And it's
Causeway,
Funcom, so they're
the
doing the
defense of
same
which
thing they
is
did
the
with Conan.
Oathsworn's primary charge. Now, beneath the surface of the Isle of Dorn,
And that's probably
lies
going to
our
be a
second
next year
zone,
title.
the Ringing Deeps. As the name suggests, it is here that the Earthen are engaged in their work in accordance with the edicts. In these industrial areas of this cavernous space are huge, complicated machines, lava-heated foundries and forges, and waterworks, both to cool and to power huge machinery.
This looks cool.
Maintaining these
I mean,
Titan mechanisms and keeping
it's
everything
WoW. I
running
mean,
is
it's
both a
always going to have
responsibility
that
and the
WoW
passion
look,
of the
so
machine speakers.
this isn't making
The
me
Earth
sit
has
up in my
shifted
chair and
too in
go, oh
places,
my god,
revealing
this looks so
openings to the
amazing.
sky
But it
above
does
to the
look
Isle of
very
Dorn.
appealing. It's a
These
nice World of
cenotes bring
Warcraft
light
aesthetic.
and water into areas once shrouded in darkness. Abundant
Yeah,
greenery,
Pablo,
flowers,
if
and
the Dune
creatures that
Awakening
do not
MMO
typically dwell in
was
caverns may be
PvE
found in
only, I
these
would
idyllic
pre-order it
spots.
today.
It was really important to us as developers
They
that we
did
could
way
live
back
out the
in the day,
fantasy
Gary.
of the
They did
hard-working industry,
Anarchy Online,
but
yeah.
still had some breakup areas of natural beauty that
Avalon,
don't feel like dark constrained
Avowed
tunnels.
is Obsidian
Now,
Entertainment.
as the
It's
machine
Pillars of
speaker
Eternity.
population has
If you've
dropped,
played Pillars of Eternity
they've had
1 and 2,
increasing
it's the
difficulties
same
with
world, but they're
cobalt
doing a
incursions, and indeed the
first-person
kobolds have taken
Skyrim
over the mines, the
experience.
work
But
areas.
it's
They've
the
even built a
world of
city of their
Aora
own.
from the Pillars of Eternity game.
Unexpectedly, the kobolds are actually becoming a force to be reckoned with under the aggressive actions of their leader, the Candle King.
Candle
You
King.
knew it had to be a candle.
You not take candle!
No take candle.
At
No
least
take
that reference
candle.
I get.
With the passage of time, the earthen have diminished both in number and in the knowledge required to perform the various
What's up, Gary?
routines to tune and repair the processes. The old ways have been forgotten, and new creative methods must be employed if the edicts are to be obeyed. So they're kind of making it up as they go along. From the ringing deeps, we descend further into Khazalgar to reach Hollowfall, a vast hollow area in the earth, bordered by an endless underground
Aren't we all looking
sea.
forward to Pantheon Rise
This
of the Fallen in
tenuous foothold under the
2024?
bright light of an enormous crystal
Oh, sorry guys, I got
has
something in my
allowed
eye.
the Arathi to survive, using their airships to travel to high plateaus and establish docks, light towers, villages, and even a priory. From their capital of Mereldar, these trapped people strive to keep hope alive and spread the light, while engaged in a near constant battle with the Nerubians at their borders. The open spaces, the bright light, and the greenery are intended to feel as though we're on the surface, somehow, rather than in this sort of strange hollow within Azeroth. The crystal provides brilliant light, warmth, and growth for vegetation. You may notice that all the blooming
That looks
plants
pretty
have
cool
opened
right
their
there.
blossoms
This-
toward the light and seem to be reaching in that direction.
That
whenever
looks
they're in
cool,
Hollowfall.
alright. That looks cool as fuck.
Unfortunately, the crystal sun has been changing in recent years. Where once the light was steady and reliable, it now fades without warning, plunging the Arathi into darkness, save where they have built light towers and maintain their holy flame beacons. In the absence
I
of
wouldn't
this
hold my
light,
breath,
the
Gary.
dangerous Kobis
I'm also not, but I'm
and
also
other
not
fierce
interested. I'm not
creatures
interested in
emerge from the
Ashes
sea
of
to
Creation
rampage.
at all.
As the
I hate
Arathi are
PvP,
clearly
so
holding back the Nerubians, these unpredictable episodes are incredibly demoralizing and deadly. Happily,
oh, it'll
the light
definitely
has
be up
always
to their
returned to the
previous
crystal.
quality standards, Avalon.
far.
Obsidian makes good games, period. So
And at the deepest descent in the war within, we reach the zone of Aj-Kahet.
the city itself.
Anyway, the Nerubian city of Threads has been built on the ruins of itself, over and over and over again. As areas decay and crumble, a new district is built upon its ruins, and as a result, the city climbs ever higher. Those Nerubians favored by the queen, or possessing enormous wealth, or both, command the greatest views and live in the highest places over these swarming
Pablo
masses
says
of the many
Pantheon is made
districts.
just for you.
The
Yeah.
Burrows is the home of the scavengers, the forgotten, deep in the decay and the filth. The Umbral Bazaar is a trading hub of fine silks, fascinating alchemical discoveries, and other exotic and hard-to-find goods. The Skeins are the home of the lore keepers and scholars who toil to maintain the history of their people and research myths and legends of Azeroth. There are many other districts and less than savory neighborhoods, both well-known and secret, that the careful adventurer could discover, should they risk life and limb to do so. But the key to such exploration is fitting in among the Nerubians and being accepted, an enterprise best accomplished through skill in the use of pheromones and considerable bravery. The zone of Aj-Kahet features areas of spectacular dark beauty that are inhabited by these creatures that have found a way to live among the Nerubians without being deemed a threat, found to be particularly tasty to consume, or just too much fun to torment. The mobilization of forces to assault the Arathi while also providing military might to achieve Xalatath's schemes has stirred up all sorts of inhabitants of the darkness. And deep within the city itself, the Nerubians are gathering an odd substance, the black blood of the old gods, for some unknown purpose. But I'm sure that's fine. And now I'd like to talk a little bit about our zone flow. As I mentioned, awesome, huh? We travel from the Isle of Dorn into the Ringing Deeps, into Hollowfall, and then into Azj-Kahet. In the War Within, all of our zones are connected all together using the airlock technology that we developed for Zarelek Cavern, allowing for this seamless descent from the Isle of Dorn all the way to Azj-Kahet.
That's
That was
pretty
video I
cool.
just captured last week of the transition between the Ringing Deeps and Hollowfall. As you can see, we built for dynamic flight, and we were able to flow directly between
Not
the
every,
zones
yeah,
without the load
Panda.
screen.
Sorry,
There
Pablo.
is some
Not everyone
seriously
is.
amazing swoopy goodness to be
Obviously,
had
you know,
moving
they're just
across
reading
these
from a
zones and through
script. They've
these
got
spaces. It
teleprompters.
feels
But
so
not
cool
everyone is
to
as comfortable
burst
on
out of a
stage
really tight
as
area
Chris
and into just
Metzen,
a
so
huge drop
it's all
like
good.
that. It's
I
so
never make fun
exhilarating.
of people
Now,
because,
this blobby
as
map
someone
that
who
I've got up
made a
here
career as a
was an
public
early
speaker for 7
attempt
years,
during development
I
of our zone
never.
flow
I mean, you
to
get
try and
better
figure
at it,
out
but you
how you
never.
would stack
The
these zones
butterflies never
together
go away.
and
You know,
achieve the
it's
relationship
hard
between
being up
their
on stage in front
geography
of
and geometry that made sense
50
and
people,
felt
let alone
great to
10,000
traverse.
people.
We ended up with something
But yeah,
slightly different than this, but this is pretty
a
representative to
I'm
explain
sure
what
she's
the
very good at
world
what she
builders were
does, but she
thinking
is not the
about
best
when they
presenter for
planned these
sure,
spaces out.
which is fine.
It was really important to our design that while 3 of the 4 zones are technically underground, they didn't feel that way, and that they were distinctly different from one another. We pursued that goal by introducing the natural cenotes in the Ringing Deeps and leaning into the fantasy of the classic underground foundry and industrial workspaces. So even in the zone that felt the tightest, there's places that look as though they're actually on the surface. And within Hollowfall,
Yeah,
we
she's not the
created
worst
a
I've seen for
massive
sure,
hollow
but also not
space
the
in a
best.
cavern so vast it feels like an exterior, with a huge artificial sun in the form of a gigantic crystal. And in Azj-Kahet, we leaned hard into traditional Nerubian architecture with hanging nests and huge palaces built all over a decaying city that just falls away into the depths. And that is the last bit of eye candy I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this peek at what we've got in development.
Excuse me.
So now it's time for me to introduce you to Morgan Day, who's going to give you lots of information about dungeons, raids, and systems. Enjoy. Thanks very much. Bye.
Hello, BlizzCon. My name is Morgan Day, and I'm here to talk to you about some of the upcoming content, features, and systems in The War Within. I'm sure I'll also make some funny faces that I'll regret later in thumbnails, but whatever. First up, let's talk about dungeons. There will be 8 new dungeons coming in The War Within, 4 during level up, 1 in each of the 4 zones that Maria just walked us through, as well as 4 at max level. There's a lot.
Okay, so the Rookery of the Stone Vault, Priory of the Sacred Flame, City of Threads, Cinderbrew Meadery, Dark Flame Cleft, the Dawnbreaker, and the Old City. Okay. All right, 8 dungeons.
Really cool stuff happening in these dungeons. For instance, we have like a kobold dungeon where you'll meet that Candle King, where there's like a light mechanic that takes place. You have to kind of keep it going to light your way. There's a dragon riding dungeon, of course, but also one of my favorites is the Cinderbrew Meadery.
This is the difference. So he's a much better presenter.
So this is a dungeon that takes place on our first zone, the Isle of Dorn, which is where you'll experience, all of our earthen buddies, and this is the place where they make that Cinderbrew mead that she was talking about. They take in all that honey that they gather from throughout the zone to make the mead, to do all kinds of fun and/or nefarious things with. Although I do have to say, I feel like they're a little bit behind the times. I feel like all the kids are drinking that, hard seltzer or something these days, but whatever. They're old school, I get it. Next up, our raid, the Nerubar Palace. So this is an 8-boss raid that will take place in the zone of Azj-Kahet.
What's up?
And this is really the culmination of all of those machinations
I gave it to you earlier, I thought.
that we see play out between the Nerubian Empire, their queen, and her collaboration with Xal'atath. So for this next one, we don't normally show things this early, but I thought it'd be cool to share. On the left there, you can kind of see the top-down view of the raid, and on the right, it's more of like a side cutout.
Okay, let me
so
pause this for 1 second because I'm getting sidetracked here. I gotta call Chris's phone that she can find her phone, and I want to look at this screenshot. So they're showing off the verticality of the zone here and also the horizontal. This is really cool. So they're doing way more verticality in in their zones than before. Probably next year, maybe Boba. Maybe. Um, it'd be great if it's next year for the 20th anniversary. I have a running Game Pass subscription, and I would be happy if that got. I can't wait for it to get folded in. That's going to be awesome. That's gonna actually. We were just talking about this today. I hadn't even considered that when Bubbaloni and I were discussing. We were discussing subscriptions. So traditionally, when I play, like when I go back and play Lord of the Rings Online or Star Wars: The Old Republic, when I go back and play one of those games that I like, the ones that I've played since launch, I traditionally will pony up and pay for a three month, usually a 3 month block of subscription time. Occasionally, I will pay for a 6 month block if I'm, still having fun after 3 months and I'm still clearing content that I haven't seen before. Um, but then I go away and I don't bother with it because if I'm not playing the game, then why am I paying a subscription for it? With Blizzard now being part of Microsoft, if they fold this into Game Pass, I keep a running Game Pass subscription because of all the games that I get every single month. Like I love Game Pass. I play. I think I said this in a recent video. I do about 90% of the games I play are on my Xbox Series X. I don't do a lot of PC gaming anymore. Mostly I play on the Xbox, and I do almost all of my first impression videos and my initial like let's play this game series here on my channel. 90% of those games are from Game Pass because it's a great value for my money. Some of them I'll do when they're the PC Game Pass games, but like 90% of the things I do these days are in the Xbox Series X. And looking at like, um, you know, some of the upcoming games for next year, like Avowed, I'm gonna play it on my Xbox. Star Wars Outlaws, gonna play it on my Xbox. Um, Rogue Trader, my plan is to go ahead, even though I own it on the PC for the beta, I plan on buying it and playing it on the Xbox. I did play Baldur's Gate 3 on my PC only because that was the only way to play it, but as soon as it comes out on the Xbox, I'm going to get a copy and I'm going to switch over and do my additional playthroughs for Baldur's Gate 3 on the Xbox. So if they fold World of Warcraft into Game Pass, that's going to be fucking epic. I support that move 100%.
Like to work on all of our
Because
dungeons
then
and
I don't need a
raids when they still
separate
look like
subscription.
this, as it's much easier to iterate while we're in 2D than it is to kind of change the zones around once we're in the game and it's all blocked out. So to step us through the raid really quickly, after barging through the front door, you'll very quickly fall and or get knocked into one of those giant pits of that black blood of the old god that you'll hear much more about in Ajkahet. And then you'll battle your way through the harvest pits, and then finally traverse your way back up through the stalactite wing, which is not a final name, I promise, until you finally fight your way into the Queen's inner sanctum, where you'll come face to face with her as the end boss. So as you can see, this will kind of feel like a winged raid in terms of the vibes, but in terms of the player experience, it'll actually be quite a bit more linear than what you might be used to for a raid with some winged
This looks like a
vibes.
cool zone.
So something that I also think is fun to talk about really quick is with all of our dungeons and raids, we like to try to explore like what is the thing that's going to make this space feel really unique, that's going to make it stand out from all the other times that we've built these dungeons and raids. And with this space, we really thought that, given that we have the Nerubian to play with, they've got all these amazing like webs and silken threads that you can kind of traverse the zone through. We thought it'd be really fun to explore verticality.
It'll
as a
definitely
major
bring in a
element
lot
to this
more
raid.
players if they add it to Game
So I
Pass.
think that'll be really
For
fun to see what the team
sure.
comes up with for that. Next up, let's talk about systems. So I want to walk you through some of our features and systems at a really high level, but first I want to talk about some of the philosophies that are really guiding us to add these into the War Within. So first and foremost, we really want to continue to extend the philosophies of Dragonflight into the War Within. And really, when we talk about that,
He's
there's
like, where are
three
my
main
fucking
pillars that I
glasses?
want to touch on.
Can't see the screen.
First, we really want to make sure that we're focusing on evergreen features. We want to make sure that we're making World of Warcraft better forever and not focusing on things that we know we're going to have to leave behind as we move into future
That is an
expansions.
impossibility to do, what he just said right there. You cannot make evergreen content in an MMORPG. You can't. Because the design philosophies of today, the monetization philosophies of today don't apply in 3 years, let alone 5 years. So it's a nice thought and it's an interesting buzz phrase to use, but it's not realistic. And all the sheeple are like, "Yay! We don't understand game dev, but what you just said sounds awesome!"
Next, we want to make sure that there's something for everyone. So whether you're a hardcore raider, a PvPer, a collector,
Something for
or apparently
everyone,
like
yada
Ollie,
yada
you just love
yada.
to play tons of alts and run around the world exploring things, we want to make sure that there's something in War Within that you can really geek out
Yes,
over and that
I'm being
resonates with you.
facetious and
And
sarcastic
finally,
right now.
we want to make sure that we're continuing to build on our philosophy and build on our systems and content with people who play multiple characters in mind.
So this is very important. This is one thing I will say that Blizzard does better than pretty much every other company out there, and it's one of the reasons why their games remain more successful than many other MMOs, is because they have a very high focus on respecting players' time. One of the reasons people like myself have always joked and made fun of and poked at this bullshit philosophy that Pantheon was trying to promote, which is we're gonna have literally the what is it called? Quarm, the new like hardcore EverQuest server that like 1,500 people are playing. Hardcore death penalties, XP loss, full corpse runs. That shit is not respecting players' time. That is the worst thing possible. So that's one of the reasons Blizzard has always done very well, is because they do respect people's time, um, and
We want to
that's
make sure.
one of the reasons so many people like my wife is not a gamer. She has tried World of Warcraft with me twice and had fun each time she's played because their games are fucking fun. World of Warcraft is a fun game because it does respect your time and it's easy to get into. Exactly like that, says Cliff Tones.
We want to make sure that we're building
Yeah,
all
Bam.
of our systems
Tech
to
and
really
industry
respect
change
the time
so
of the
quickly.
player behind the keyboard and not focusing so much on the accomplishments of that individual character.
I think this is where they talk about like rep is now going to be shared between.
So let's talk about delves. Delves are a new feature that will be integrated into the outdoor world experience, where the fantasy of these is actually that you'll be joining the Dragon Scale expedition in their search for lost treasures all across Kazalgar. So delves are an evergreen feature that is really integrated into that outdoor world experience. We want delves to be
What do they mean by outdoor world experience? Does that mean like not the underground stuff, but the overworld?
a new pillar of endgame content for those outdoor world explorers. We really view this as something like when we added World Quest back in Legion, where they are going to be really integrated and transformative into that outdoor world, especially that endgame loop. So one of the main reasons I'm stoked about delves is that these will provide an opportunity for us to, give seasonal content and rewards to those outdoor world explorers. So that means things like, rewards that you're used to, like mounts, achievements, titles. But
Reasons
we'll
for you to
also
keep
be
paying a monthly
adding
subscription
a
is what this
outdoor
is.
row to the Great Vault with War Within.
Corfield says they mean not a dungeon or raid. Okay.
So that all of you outdoor world explorers will be able to share in the joy of rushing to the Great Vault every week to collect your loot. And there will also be 13 unique delves that we'll be launching War Within with. And delves will scale from 1 to 5 players and be role agnostic. So that means if you want to play a delve solo, that's totally cool. If you
That kind of sounds like the agnostic dungeons that EverQuest 2 introduced years and years and years ago, because they scale to your level, and you can run them solo or you can run them with a group, and they scale depending on how many people are in the group. So that sounds exactly like that EQ2 agnostic dungeon system.
If you want to go with you and your partner, that works as well. Or you can bring your whole dungeon group in, and the delve will scale based on your group size and your roles. And I would be remiss if I didn't mention one of my favorite features of delves, which I think Maria alluded to earlier, which is that there will be an NPC companion joining you on all of your adventures. So for Season 1, that'll be Bran Bronzebeard, as you can see.
He's a cool character, yeah.
And Bran will be tagging along with you on all of your Delve adventures and will totally never, not even once, aggro a pack of monsters that you didn't want him to. And I don't have my fingers crossed behind my back right now. So Bran will have a customizable talents and mechanics and abilities that you'll be able to kind of load out to suit your playstyle and needs. So, maybe you need a little bit of extra healing.
That's kind of
well, you
cool, a
can load Bran out to
customizable
provide that for you.
companion, kind of like what Star Wars: The
And
Republic does.
finally, you wouldn't be exploring with the Dragon Scale Expedition if at the end of every delve there wasn't this massive treasure trove that we need Bran to open for us, which hopefully brought a couple of keys to open some of the chests in there. But before Bran can open that vault for you, you'll need to maybe defeat a boss, maybe you'll solve a couple puzzles, something like that, and then Bran will be able to open that vault door for you. Next up, let's talk about warbands. It's happening! So warbands are a system that we're introducing that will really be the representation of all of your characters across your Battle.net account. Warbands are an opportunity for us to create a platform where you can share your achievements, resources, and
This
all that
right
other
here,
good stuff across all of those characters.
This right here, that announcement alone. What's up, Bobolonia? Good morning, man. That announcement alone, that now achievements and reputation, everything else is going to be shared across all of your accounts. I know it's not coming until the War Within. If they had that in the game, like right now, if they introduced it right now, I would happily spin up a subscription and start playing World of Warcraft again on a regular basis. If I knew that as of tomorrow, my achievements and everything else was going to be shared across all my characters, because then I would just go start creating all sorts of characters and playing through the different expansions for shits and giggles, because I haven't seen all that content before.
So the goal
By the way, I know he's wearing a World of Warcraft shirt, but the character, I think that's Anduin, it looks an awful lot like Mad Mardigan from Willow. It looks like Val Kilmer's character, just from that
system is
random
really to
side
be
note.
that representation of the philosophy shift that I mentioned earlier about really
Respect the player's time. God damn, does Blizzard does a good job of this. They do it good. I will give them credit for that. Yeah, none of this bullshit about corpse runs and item loss and
of the
no.
player behind the keyboards and not those individual characters.
Okay.
There's actually a ton of additions and modifications. We've talked about a few here. There's no single.
What? Bubbaloni said this is also going to be represented at the character select screen as a campfire with all your characters gathered around it. That's dope.
UI screen that says warbands. It's more of all these modifications and updates and features are kind of wearing a big coat that says warbands on the back of it. It's how I kind of keep it straight in my head. But just to talk about a couple of those cool features, we'll actually be revisiting the transmog rules of how you acquire those appearances in the War Within. So for all of you who have...
So is he saying that you're going to be able to use transmog across all your characters?
So that means all of you who have probably had to run 4 characters through all of those legacy instances just to make sure you're collecting all the appearances, that won't be the case.
Oh, that's fucking awesome. That right there is fucking awesome. To know that the things that I earned on one character can now be applied to all of my characters.
Holly mentioned this already, but this is
My chair
obviously
keeps
one that
moving.
people are looking forward to. All of our reputations as
Shared.
well as renown
This is
in
awesome.
War Within will be shared across your entire account.
Right, Bubalonia, plate will be across all your plate characters, cloth across all your cloth characters.
Last but not least, let's talk about hero talents. So here's a quick mock-up of what the UI will look like that I think really helps explain how these integrate into our current talent trees.
Corfield
But
says, I've got
let's take
8
a look
level
at
70
how this
characters,
will
so the
work.
feature's cool for me.
So there will be
Nice.
3 new hero talent trees.
Yeah,
per
that's what
class,
Bubalonia was just
and
saying,
2 will
Corfield.
be available per specialization. that
Cloth
you
for
can
cloth,
freely
plate for
choose
plate,
and swap between.
so on and so forth.
And also, this is another evergreen feature. This is a system that we think is going to provide a new vector of choice and customization for you and all of your classes, as well as create opportunities for us to really dig into some of those core class fantasies that are, so amazing. So here Talents will introduce these new, small, self-contained talent trees like you just saw in the UI. And the way I like to think about it is like, currently we have
This
two
is more
types of talent
alternate
points, right?
advancement
We have
stuff,
class talent
like
points
what
and
EQ1 and
specialization
EQ2
talent
did, which I'm
points.
happy
And
for.
now in the War Within, there'll be a
I
third
loved
type
the
called hero
respec that they
talent
did with
points.
Dragonflight, the
So
redone
let's look
talent
at a quick
tree.
example, which hopefully
I was very
explains it a
happy
little
with
bit
that.
more. This is a warrior, as you can see. These are the 3 hero talent trees that they'll have available: Mountain Thane, Colossus, and Slayer. And as you can see in the top left, we have Protection, who will be able to choose between Mountain Thane and Colossus. Up on the right, you see Fury. Yep, that's right. Mountain Thane and Slayer are their options. And down at the bottom, Colossus and Slayer are their options. So this is how the majority of our classes are going to look in the War Within. The exception, of course, being Druids and Demon Hunters, who are a bit special, so theirs will look a little different. So let's take a look at how you'll unlock the system, as well as how it'll feel playing through as you're leveling through the War Within. So the system will automatically unlock at level 71, and it'll just kind of appear in your UI. You'll earn 1 talent point per level as you level from 71 to 80. And there are 10 talent points in total, with several choice nodes along the way.
Well, that's because,
So
yeah,
I
we're
like
doing
to think of this
multi-streaming
as
now,
being
Corfield,
similar
so
to,
I'm
like, the
I'm
Legion
seeing
artifact,
chat from
where as
Twitch
you're
and
leveling
YouTube.
and progressing,
So,
you are making some choices along the
my
way.
bad.
But ultimately, you're going to unlock the whole tree. And also, I want to be very clear here. These are extremely low friction to swap
Pablo's like
between
Mountain
those
Thane
choice
clearly
nodes,
the
as well
superior
as to swap
choice,
between
aka
the different
dwarves will
hero
rule the
talent
world.
trees.
I'm totally going for an earthen, absolutely.
So, this should be very analogous to your current talent trees and will follow all the same rules that you used to there. So, at the start of a raid boss, before a Mythic Plus starts, before an arena match kicks off, and anywhere in between. And to wrap us up, I wanted to show off a really quick video of what hero talents look like in action. So this is a warrior, as you can see, pop an avatar, jumping in. And this next one is that same warrior with the Mountain Thane talent tree. As you can see, Stormbolt hits multiple targets.
Oh,
There's a
wow,
couple cool
that's
new
nice.
VFX, and a lot of other cool stuff going on there as well. I heard some oohs.
I also saw some frame drops,
VFX
bro.
artists will be happy. So that about wraps us up for our What's Next panel.
I might have to get back
We
into World of
hope you really
Warcraft
liked
next
what
year.
you saw here, and if you'd like to know more, please join us tomorrow at the deep dive panel, where at noon, where Ian will walk you through some of what you saw today in more detail.
So that's probably taking place today in
as
real
well
time.
as a bunch of other cool new stuff in the War Within. So thank you all so much. I hope you have a
One
great
of us,
BlizzCon.
one of
Bye.
us, one of us. I never finished Dragonflight. I bought it, got halfway, but I was coming off of like 6 months or 4 months of whatever it was, Wrath of the Lich King. And Chris and I think that was when we had just moved. I don't remember. Liam's like, that art style. I think that was right before we moved. I think the reason I stopped playing Dragonflight was because we moved from the city to the homestead. And so I just was like, yeah, and we hunkered down. I didn't have internet for like a month. Um, and I pre-recorded a bunch of stuff. Um, and then just when I came back from that, I was just out of the MMO headspace. But I tell you what, it's got me intrigued. I have a video coming out tomorrow, which is going to be doing. We're talking about the Soulbound, sorry, the World Soul Saga in total that they're talking about, and it's got me intrigued for what they're building here with what they've got going on. Um, I'm probably going to get back into World of Warcraft next year. I just don't know when. Because I do need to finish the Dragonflight expansion, and I would, get through that. I need to get a character prepped essentially, so that when the War Within is ready to drop, I've got a character ready to go straight into that, so that I can unlock the Earthen, and then immediately be able to roll in there, get my Earthen unlocked on the Alliance side, and then switch over to the Earthen and play through that whole expansion experience. So I would say, yeah. There's going to be more World of Warcraft stuff probably next year, but I would not anticipate this happening until next fall because their expansions usually don't launch until what, like October, September, October. I feel is like usually when the expansions drop somewhere in that fall bracket. So um, there's a lot of runway between here and there, and I've got a lot of other games that I'm planning on playing. But we'll be taking a look at this at some point. This may be something just depending on the schedule next year. If they've got it, if I have a break in February or March, I might just resub, for a few months and play through the most recent expansion content just to get it done and have a character prepped, and then go off and do other things. And then when the expansion drops, I could pre-order and be ready to go with a character that's already leveled up. Um, that might be the way to do it. That way, I'm also not burned out on World of Warcraft because I could do the Dragonflight expansion like February, March, and then go away and do Star Wars Outlaws, Avowed, Fable, all the other things that we're going to do next year, and then come back to the War Within expansion in the fall and be prepped and ready to go. I also have to deal with, and I talk more about this. Tomorrow's video on stuff is going to be a little bit more rambling about things. I would love to play with other people, but I'm also really burnt out on. I have no desire to manage people anymore. After having managed guilds for 20 years, being the raid leader and guild leader, I don't want to do it. And the last couple of times we've tried to do static groups, my brother and I, we just said we're never doing it again because people are flaky and they don't commit. It's like you'll get people who are like, "Yeah, let's play this game yeah, it's gonna be awesome. Let's do a static group on Tuesday nights." And then you get 3 weeks into it, and somebody's like, "Oh, this came up," and then 3 weeks later, oh, this came up, and then it's like you get 6 weeks in, and someone's like, "Oh, I'm just not feeling it. It's not as fun as I thought it was gonna be." QQ, and then they bail, and then it's like I don't want to deal with flaky people. So I've been treating most of my games these days as single player games, even when I play like Lord of the Rings Online and Star Wars: The Republic, because I don't have to deal with flaky people that way. I could just play by myself and still have fun. It would be really fun to play with, people who could actually commit to doing it, and because I would love to go through dungeons with like a group of, especially if the raids are like 8-man raids. If there was a good group of 12 people that could commit to something, but the reality of that happening is so not possible from what I've experienced over the years. And trying to manage a crew of 150 so that you could find 20 people every time you need them, that comes with its own set of headaches, which I am not willing to commit to right now. Bam says it could be a good backup game between new content. It could. Bubbleonia says, I haven't really finished Dragonflight either, but my heart feels good knowing my buddy's game is trending back up and I'm resubbed now. Liam's like expansion season. It is, yeah. The Earthen series looks cool, says Pablo. It does. Liam's like, I want to see if EQ does anything for 25 years in March. Be interesting to see if they did. Corfield said, I wish EU and USA servers could play together. It would be cool if they did that. Mega servers would be much better. Or at least, cross servers between US and USA. Pablo says, give me a good D&D session any day instead. I like tabletop, but I'm also when did we do our when did we do our actual play session series for Starfield, Bubbleoni? Was that early this year? That was like, I feel like that was about 3 months we did that. It was me, Bubbleonia, Mujin, and Gila. We did the first module for Starfield. It was fun, but I have no desire to run. I have no desire to DM anymore. I'm done. I've DM'd for so many years. Um, but you run into the same issue with tabletop sessions a lot of times. Most tabletop sessions will fall apart because people. It's really hard, and I guess the main difference though is because I do this for a living and not everybody else does. So it's hard for people who don't do it for a living to take it as seriously as I do because they're not making money off of it. They're doing it for fun in their spare time, and that's why you see guys like if you watch like Doctor Disrespect, he's not playing co-op with just randos. He's playing co-op with other streamers who are his friends at the same time because they're all in it to win it. They're all making money off of it. It's their day jobs. And so those stars have all aligned. In a perfect world, I would find great dedicated people who are all also streamers or at least committed enough to, doing it regularly and do Warcraft for 6 months. That could be fun. Liam says I'm going to the Borrowed Downs soon in Lord of the Rings Online. Very excited. I love Lotro, man. I still don't have a max character in Lord of the Rings Online. I do have a max character in Star Wars: The Republic, but I don't have one in Lotro, despite playing that game since launch. I think my highest character is my Lore Master, and the last time I played him, he was in Osgiliath outside of Minas Tirith at like level 103 or something. I think you can go to 140 or something now. Earlier this year, says Babylonian, May and June. Yeah, something like that. I can't remember when we did tabletop. But that was the last time I did any tabletop. That was a fun campaign, though. I like StarCraft is a pretty interesting system to learn and play. The pandas were his April Fool's thing. In Warcraft 3, which was before Kung Fu Panda. Melania says, my friend taught me to play D&D and then made me his perma DM for years, not dropping names, just heart happy for him. Nice. That's what your remodel is all about. What did I say? Did I say Starfield? I meant Starfinder, Bubbly. My brain is... I only have 4 hours of sleep last night, everybody, so I'm a little fried. That's what the remodel's about. You need a room with a door. Liam says, walked through Tharbad last night, did the wedding stuff at Minas Tirith. Dude, that wedding sequence for Arwen and Aragorn in Lord of the Rings is legit. Like, I've got a video up of that somewhere on my channel. Like, I actually had to turn my computer setting down because it was like I was used to running the game at max settings and my 7-year-old laptop loaded into Minas Tirith with like hundreds of NPCs on the screen, and it just was like frame drop, and I was like, oh wow, that's a lot of people. But that whole scene is super beautiful, very well done in Lord of the Rings Online. Warcraft, everybody. Well, I have no time to do it right now, but I'm genuinely intrigued. Um, I think I'm going to revisit because I'm doing Wastelander 3 right now. Um, that'll be the month of November. I'm doing Rogue Trader a little bit right now. That's going to be my December game. I don't think there's any release dates for Star Wars Outlaws, Avowed, or Fable yet for 2024. I don't know. I don't think there's, at least at the moment. Oh, also, Dune Awakening is supposedly next year at some point, and I don't know the time frame on all of those. Also, Dragon's Dogma 2, which I'll probably end up wanting to play. So what I might do is when I wrap up with Rogue Trader, which will happen early January, mid January probably. What I may do, if there's nothing on the agenda for if I don't see, like, if none of the games I want to play are coming out until March or April, and I've got a gap between like January and February into March, I'll probably resubscribe to World of Warcraft and just do the Dragonflight expansion, like take an alliance character through and play that out. We'll see. Shared progress for achievements in Star Wars: The Republic. There's the legacy system, which isn't exactly the same thing. It is a shared legacy on an account for the server, so it's different for each server. But the way that works is that the legacy, you can have a legacy level that's shared between everything. Babylonia might know more about this because I think he's played a little bit more Star Wars: The Republic than I have. But the legacy is shared between all the characters on your server. Um, but like the individual things, like I want speeder ranks, those are per character as long as you've unlocked them with the legacy level. I don't know about things like the. I know some of the items you can get from the store, like the cosmetic sets and things, those you can put in your legacy bank, and those can be shared between characters in Star Wars: The Old Republic. I'm not sure about achievements though, because I've never gone deep into the achievement system in Star Wars: The Old Republic. Um, ESO does it, other than mega servers. Yeah. Well, cool guys. That was a fun little experiment. Just sorry, Bubble. The timing on that made me laugh. So you were like, ugh, commercials, and then you hit the subscribe button on Twitch so that you don't have to watch commercials. It's just thank you for double dipping, but it just made me chuckle too. That's the one thing I wish YouTube did is I wish YouTube would, if you're a paying member of the channel, I wish that YouTube would let you avoid watching commercials because Twitch does it that way. If you're a paying member on Twitch, you don't have to watch commercials, which I think is a nice feature for people who are supporting um, their streamers. I mean, it's a perk. It's a nice perk. But the timing on the comment versus with this, I'm like, I know exactly why you hit the subscribe button. Well, to be fair, Babylonia, I have the amount of commercials turned up a little high. I probably could turn it down, but um, were there that many in a row? Well, I think they do. It's minute breaks. There's minutes. The way it's set up is you can adjust the minutes per hour or whatever. Um, so I have it set up to do. I can't remember how many. I think it's like 12 minutes in an hour. I think is what I have it set at. So 12 minutes an hour is I think the current setting, and so it does it in blocks of I think 3 minutes. So when it runs an ad, it's going to make you watch a 3 minute ad, and there might be 10 ads in that 3 minute block. Um, like I went to watch Co Carnage last night, and the first thing I got hit with was like a 3.5 minute ad block, and it was like 7 or 8 ads in a row. I just went and took a piss. It was like, yeah, it was like and it's all in Spanish because of my, my ISP local, so it was all Spanish language ads. It made me laugh. It's like one for detergent, um, but it was like watching TV, which is funny. Well, I am excited about this, everybody. I'm gonna spin a section of this out as a React video for Tuesday. I do have an overall video coming out on the Soul Saga, World Soul Saga, whatever they're calling it. Um, that's coming out tomorrow at some point. So more thoughts on World of Warcraft as we move ahead. I'm gonna head out, everybody. I gotta get a bunch of video stuff recorded today. I've got a few videos I need to record. I will be back tonight doing another late night stream. That's gonna become a thing now for the moment. No, you should never have to watch. I don't, as far as I understand it with Twitch, Bublonia is once you're subscribed, you don't have to watch. You don't have to watch ads. I'll be streaming tonight, probably around 9. Assuming I'm supposed to do Sea of Thieves with my brother and my sister-in-law tonight. We didn't last week because they had a church event, but I don't know if they're free tonight. I'll probably play that tonight. Once I wrap up, I'll do some more Wasteland 3. That's going to be the agenda for November. I think we're going to stream Wasteland 3 pretty much every single night. And we're going to see how those stream sessions goes. This week coming up, the daytime streams, the morning streams are going to be sporadic because tomorrow I need to go out with Chris. We got to go. We got to try to find some block to start doing an estimate for building our outdoor kitchen. So I got to go to a quarry block cutter place. So then I need to go to a cement store. We got to go to the hardware store. So there's like 3 or 4 days next week where I won't be able to stream in the morning because we got to go out and run errands in the morning. So I'll try to be live as often as I can during the 9 to 10 a.m. bracket that I've usually been doing it. But if for some reason I can't, what you might find me doing next week is really early morning streams at like 5 or 6 o'clock in the morning instead of doing a 5 a.m. premiere. Is I might just get up and do a morning stream first thing with coffee. Um, um, no, no, the morning, yeah, Red hates zeros. I'll try to do as many morning streams as I can. but the ones that are confirmed are the evening ones because I don't have anything going on in the evenings. Otherwise, I'll be live as often as I can in the mornings. So thanks everybody. Have a good Sunday. See you next time. And I'm waiting this time. I'm waiting a few seconds so it doesn't cut me off because someone said last night that I keep cutting off mid sentence. I thought I was giving it enough time after I shut up to not cut me off, but I'm gonna just wait like 10 seconds and then I'll turn off the stream. So catch you guys later.